There's something fascinating happening in the way we think about relationships today. More and more we see younger men finding deep, lasting connections with older women. And at first glance, some people might wonder why, but if we look closer, if we really listen, the answer is simple. It's about what we all crave at our core. It's about connection, authenticity, and real partnership. You see, emotional maturity has a gravitational pull. It's not about age, it's about experience. It's about having lived enough life to know that love isn't supposed to be exhausting. It's supposed to be a place of peace, not of endless conflict. Older women often carry that wisdom in the way they communicate, the way they resolve conflict, the way they choose understanding over drama. And younger men who are still finding their way, still fighting battles outside in the world, they find refuge in someone who doesn't add more chaos to their lives, but instead offers calm, clarity, and kindness. And let's talk about confidence. Real confidence isn't loud. It doesn't need to shout to be heard. It just is. It's the quiet certainty of someone who knows who they are, who's not begging for approval at every turn. Older women embody that. They walk into a room and change the energy without trying to, and younger men, often surrounded by a culture that pressures them to prove themselves constantly, find it intoxicating to be near someone who just is. Someone who reminds them that they are enough as they are. There's also the richness of experience. When you've lived, when you've faced failures, when you've loved and lost and loved again, you gain a depth that can't be faked. That depth shows up in every conversation, every laugh, every glance. It's the difference between talking about the weather and talking about your dreams at 2 a.m. Younger men aren't just looking for excitement. They're looking for meaning. They're looking for someone who can sit with them in silence and make it feel full, not empty. Older women value their time differently too. They don't entertain nonsense. They aren't impressed by games or empty promises. They know what matters: honesty, loyalty, kindness. And they are ruthless in their pursuit of it. Younger men, many of whom have seen too many shallow connections in a world obsessed with instant gratification, feel a powerful attraction to that kind of unwavering focus on what's real. And maybe one of the most beautiful reasons is that around an older woman, a younger man often feels safe to be himself. There's no performance required. There's no mask he has to wear. He's not being judged by his income, his job title, or how polished he looks on the outside. He's seen for his heart, for his potential, for his character. Authenticity becomes the oxygen that breathes life into the relationship instead of all the exhausting societal expectations. Lastly, older women understand that love is not about possession or control, it's about partnership. It's about standing side by side, not one above the other. In a world that often treats relationships like a competition of who has more power, older women show that real strength is shared. They don't diminish the man they love, they inspire him. They don't clip his wings, they help him fly higher. They know that true connection doesn't imprison you, it sets you free. So when we ask why younger men are attracted to older women, maybe the better question is, how could they not be? In a world that often feels loud, shallow, and restless, who wouldn't be drawn to a woman who is calm, deep, and real? It's not about the number of years someone has lived, it's about how much life they've poured into those years. It's about how fully they've chosen to love, to grow, to show up. And that is always, always magnetic. One of the most powerful yet least talked about reasons why connections thrive is emotional maturity. It's easy to be attracted to charm, to good looks, to excitement, but when the dust settles, when life gets hard, and it always does, what people crave most is emotional steadiness. Emotional maturity is the difference between a relationship that drains you and one that sustains you. Emotional maturity means understanding that love isn't a game. It's not about winning arguments, keeping score, or testing each other's limits. It's about showing up with honesty. It's about communicating even when it's uncomfortable. It's about choosing the relationship over being right. And that choice, again and again, is what builds a bond that can actually survive real life. Many younger men, especially those who have been through enough chaos, find that emotional maturity is more attractive than anything else. They aren't looking for someone who turns every disagreement into a battlefield. They aren't seeking someone who needs constant drama to feel alive. What they want is peace. They want someone who can navigate conflict without turning it into a war. Someone who knows that sometimes the best thing you can do is listen instead of react. Older women, more often than not, have already lived through the seasons of drama. They've experienced the roller coasters, the needless heartbreaks, the toxic cycles of blame and guilt. And because of that, many of them reach a point where they realize that love isn't about chaos, it's about comfort. Not the boring kind of comfort where passion dies, but the kind where you know someone has your back, even on the worst days. The kind of comfort where you can be fully yourself without fear of being punished for your flaws. That emotional maturity changes everything. It's in the way an older woman handles a disagreement, not with shouting or silent treatments, but with real conversations. It's in the way she asks questions to understand, not to attack. It's in how she owns her part of the problem instead of playing the victim. Younger men recognize this, sometimes even before they can articulate it, and they feel drawn to it because it feels like safety in a world that often feels anything but safe. When two people both bring emotional maturity to a relationship, drama isn't needed to create intensity. Love becomes intense in other ways. In the depth of the conversations, in the shared dreams, in the quiet moments where nothing needs to be said. There's a strength in that kind of love that isn't flashy, but it's enduring. It's the kind of strength that builds a real life together, not just a highlight reel for others to see. And here's the thing about emotional maturity. It creates room for growth. Both people get to be human. They get to make mistakes without the relationship collapsing under the weight of blame and resentment. They get to evolve individually and together without fear. There's patience, there's forgiveness, there's genuine encouragement. Emotional maturity doesn't demand perfection. It invites authenticity. Younger men who are serious about building a life, not just living for the moment, recognize that emotional maturity is a gift. They don't want to waste time managing unnecessary drama. They want to invest their time in building something real. And older women, having lived through enough storms, bring the calm that makes that building possible. Not because they're perfect, but because they've learned, sometimes the hard way, that love isn't about fighting to be right. It's about fighting for each other. There's a kind of power that doesn't need to announce itself. It doesn't walk into a room shouting for attention. It doesn't seek approval or beg for validation. It simply exists, and in its quiet existence, it draws people in. That power is confidence, and true confidence is magnetic in a way that nothing else can match. Confidence isn't arrogance. It's not the loudest person in the room. It's not the one constantly telling you how great they are. Real confidence is a quiet certainty. It's the understanding that you are enough exactly as you are without needing to prove it to anyone. It's the ability to walk into any situation and not shrink, not dominate, but simply be fully present. And in relationships, that kind of energy is irresistible. Older women often embody this kind of confidence because it's been earned. It's the product of years of trial and error, of victories and failures, of learning what really matters and letting go of what doesn't. They have come to a place where they don't need a relationship to define their worth. They don't seek a partner to complete them. They seek a partner to walk alongside them. And that mindset changes everything. When a younger man meets a woman who doesn't need him to validate her, doesn't twist herself into shapes trying to be what she thinks he wants, it's a breath of fresh air, it's freedom, it's authenticity. It creates a space where he too can put down his armor, where he can stop performing and start being. Confidence is contagious in that way. When you're around someone who is comfortable in their own skin, it invites you to be comfortable in yours. True confidence also means emotional resilience. It's the ability to handle rejection without crumbling, to face disappointment without losing hope, to love without losing yourself. Older women know that not every relationship will be forever, and they're not afraid of that truth. They know that their value doesn't diminish just because someone else fails to recognize it. That inner security is incredibly attractive because it removes the hidden pressure that often suffocates relationships. Younger men are drawn to women who aren't playing games, who aren't trying to manipulate emotions to feel powerful. They are drawn to women who own their desires, speak their truth, and move with a sense of purpose. They are drawn to women who don't just talk about boundaries, they live by them. Confidence shows up in 1,000 small ways. In the way someone says no without guilt, in the way they say yes without hesitation, in the way they trust their own voice over the noise of outside opinions. What's truly beautiful about confidence is that it shifts the focus from appearance to presence. It's not about how perfect you look, it's about how fully you show up. It's the way a woman makes eye contact, the way she laughs without apology, the way she carries herself when no one is watching. It's in the moments when she chooses grace over gossip, courage over comfort, authenticity over approval. In a world where so many relationships are built on superficial attraction, True confidence offers something deeper. It offers stability, it offers trust, it offers a foundation strong enough to hold the weight of two dreams, two lives intertwined. Younger men recognize, whether consciously or not, that building a future with someone who knows their worth is a safer, richer, more fulfilling journey than chasing fleeting excitement. There is something irreplaceable about experience. It shapes the way we love, the way we communicate, the way we choose who to trust. It's not just the passing of time that matters, it's what we learn from the time we're given. Depth of experience builds a depth of connection that simply can't be manufactured or rushed. It's something that comes from having lived, from having truly felt the highs and lows of life and choosing to stay open-hearted through it all. Older women often bring this kind of depth to relationships, and it's a quality that younger men, whether they realize it or not, are deeply drawn to. It's the way they listen, not to reply, but to understand. It's the way they share stories, not to impress, but to connect. It's the way they hold space for real conversations about fears, dreams, failures, and hopes. When someone has lived through enough seasons of change, they learn how to meet others with compassion instead of judgment. Depth of experience also teaches patience. It teaches that real connection isn't built overnight. It's built slowly, through 1,000 small acts of showing up, being honest, and choosing each other, even on hard days. Older women have often learned that love isn't found in the grand, sweeping gestures alone, but in the quiet, consistent moments. A reassuring glance across a crowded room, a hand reaching out in silent support, a thoughtful word at just the right time. And these moments are born from understanding, not infatuation. Younger men, often still building their own paths, find incredible value in that kind of grounding presence. They are often tired of shallow relationships that burn bright but burn out fast. They are hungry for conversations that go beyond surface level. They want someone who knows how to talk about the things that really matter: dreams, values, growth, purpose. And they crave a bond that feels like it's made of something real, not something fragile and temporary. Experience also teaches how to navigate conflict in healthier ways. Older women often know that disagreement doesn't have to mean disaster. They've learned that two people can see things differently and still choose each other. They've learned to say, "Help me understand," instead of "You're wrong." They've learned that vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness. And that willingness to be vulnerable creates a space where both people can lay down their defenses and meet heart to heart. Depth of experience also allows for more forgiveness. Not the kind that ignores bad behavior, but the kind that understands that no one is perfect, that everyone is a work in progress. It means seeing a partner's flaws not as fatal flaws, but as parts of a human story still unfolding. It means offering grace without enabling. It means holding someone accountable while still holding on to love. There's a richness in loving someone who has lived. It's the richness of shared silence that doesn't feel empty. It's the richness of laughter that comes from a place of deep, hard-earned joy. It's the richness of knowing that even when the first sparks of excitement settle, what's left is something even more powerful, a steady, abiding connection built on truth, trust, and time. Younger men who seek this depth aren't looking for someone to entertain them. They're looking for someone to grow with, someone who can challenge them, inspire them, and walk beside them with wisdom, not just passion. And in older women, they often find not just a lover, but a true partner, someone whose experiences have shaped her into a person who knows how to build something real, something lasting, something worth holding on to. Because in the end, it's not just excitement that keeps love alive, it's depth. It's understanding. It's the kind of connection that can only be created by two people who have lived enough life to know what really matters and who are willing to give it to each other. In a world obsessed with more attention, more followers, more possessions, more excitement, there's something profoundly powerful about someone who chooses quality over quantity. It's rare, it's refreshing, and it's one of the clearest signs of someone who truly understands what it means to live and love with intention. Older women often embody this truth. They have lived long enough to know that not everything that shines is gold, and not every opportunity is worth chasing. They've learned to be selective, not because they're hard to please, but because they've discovered that their time, their energy, and their hearts are too valuable to be given away carelessly. When it comes to relationships, prioritizing quality over quantity means they are no longer interested in collecting experiences for the sake of experience. They are interested in building something real. They don't need endless dates to feel validated. They aren't looking for the next thrill just to avoid loneliness. They are willing to wait for the right connection, even if it means being alone for a while, because they understand that being alone with peace is far better than being together with chaos. This way of living is magnetic to younger men who are also seeking something more meaningful. Many younger men are tired of relationships that feel like competitions or performances. They are looking for someone who knows how to recognize real potential, who knows how to nurture something lasting rather than chasing after every passing attraction. They find it incredibly attractive when a woman values herself enough to be discerning, when she isn't impressed by surface-level charm but is moved by character, consistency, and kindness. Choosing quality over quantity also shows up in the way older women spend their time and energy within the relationship. They aren't interested in constant attention without substance. They don't need endless texting, constant checking in, or dramatic displays to feel secure. What they seek is real presence, meaningful conversations, shared goals, genuine laughter, emotional intimacy. They want fewer but deeper moments rather than endless shallow ones, and they bring that same energy in return. They don't just show up halfway, they show up fully with their heart, their attention, and their intention. It's not just about being picky, it's about being clear. Clear about what they want, clear about what they deserve, clear about what they are willing to give, and clear about what they are not willing to tolerate. They are not impressed by grand gestures that aren't backed by real commitment. They value the everyday actions that reveal who someone really is, the small acts of respect, the quiet moments of support, the willingness to stand together when things get tough. Younger men often find it a relief to be with someone who knows how to build something steadily and patiently without rushing, without forcing. Someone who doesn't need to manufacture excitement because she understands that real excitement comes from watching something beautiful grow over time. It's not frantic, it's not chaotic, it's a calm, steady unfolding of something real. Prioritizing quality over quantity also means there's less fear of missing out. Older women know that saying no to the wrong thing is what makes space for the right thing. They don't stay in relationships out of fear of being alone. They don't accept less than they deserve just to avoid discomfort. They are willing to walk away from anything that doesn't honor their value, not with bitterness, but with quiet self-respect. In love, as in life, it's not about how much you can accumulate, it's about how deeply you can connect. It's about finding that one relationship where both people are willing to invest, to commit, to grow. And that kind of bond, built on quality rather than quantity, isn't just rare, it's priceless. There is no greater gift in a relationship than the freedom to be authentic. The freedom to show up exactly as you are, imperfect, evolving, real, and to be loved not in spite of it, but because of it. Authenticity isn't about perfection, it's about truth. It's about dropping the masks, letting go of the need to perform, and choosing to be vulnerable enough to be seen. Older women often create this kind of space because they have lived long enough to understand that pretending never leads to real connection. They have learned, sometimes painfully, that the only relationships worth keeping are the ones where you are free to be yourself. Younger men who are searching for more than just surface-level attraction are drawn to this energy. They find themselves breathing easier around someone who isn't trying to be anything other than who she truly is. There's no guessing, no second guessing, no exhausting games, just honesty, just presence, just two people meeting exactly where they are without expectation or pretense. That kind of freedom is incredibly rare and it's incredibly powerful. Authenticity means being able to say what you feel without fear of judgment. It means being able to share your dreams, your doubts, your past, your hopes, all the messy, beautiful pieces of who you are, and know that you will not be discarded because of them. It's about being embraced, not edited. And older women often carry that wisdom into relationships. They've moved past the need to curate an image or hide behind a facade. They are who they are, and they welcome a partner who can meet them at that same level of realness. This kind of freedom transforms relationships. It builds trust at a deep level because there's no fear that the love is conditional. There's no sense that you have to be anything other than human to be worthy of being loved. And that sense of safety allows for even deeper connection. It invites both people to be more open, more courageous, more alive. Authenticity doesn't just remove walls, it tears them down and builds bridges in their place. Younger men who have experienced relationships built on performance and perfection quickly recognize how different it feels to be with someone who prioritizes truth over image. It's grounding, it's calming, it's real. In a world where so much feels staged, orchestrated, and filtered, finding someone who is simply themselves feels like finding water in the desert. Freedom to be authentic also means freedom to grow. It means understanding that people evolve, and relationships need to evolve too. It means giving each other space to change, to learn, to make mistakes, and to become better versions of themselves without fear of losing love along the way. It's love that breathes, that bends but does not break. It's a love that feels less like a cage and more like wings. Older women often encourage this kind of growth because they know that a relationship isn't about losing yourself in another person. It's about standing side by side, each strong in your own right, each supporting the other's journey. They celebrate individuality as much as partnership. They understand that true intimacy isn't about merging identities. It's about deeply honoring the uniqueness of each person while choosing to walk together. The freedom to be authentic turns love into a sanctuary rather than a battleground. It makes the relationship a place of rest, of renewal, of genuine joy. And in a world that often demands that we wear masks just to get by, finding someone who invites your true self to the surface is one of the rarest and most precious experiences of all. Redefining power also means understanding that vulnerability is a form of strength. It's easy to build walls and call that power. It's harder and much braver to stay open, to trust, to be willing to risk hurt for the chance at real intimacy. Older women often lead with this kind of strength. They have learned that real power isn't in pretending not to care. Real power is in caring deeply and standing tall anyway. In this redefined partnership, both people are celebrated for who they are, not who they pretend to be. There's no need for ego battles or silent competitions. Success for one is seen as success for both. Growth for one is growth for the relationship. There's an understanding that lifting each other up doesn't diminish anyone's light. It makes the whole relationship brighter. Younger men who are stepping into their own maturity recognize the rare beauty of this dynamic. They see the freedom it offers, freedom to be ambitious without guilt, freedom to be vulnerable without fear, freedom to be supported without losing respect. They see that true partnership isn't about sacrificing yourself, it's about finding someone who makes you even more yourself. When power is redefined this way, relationships stop being a struggle for control and start being a celebration of collaboration. They become spaces where both people are free to shine, to stumble, to rise, and to keep growing. Together, and in a world that often teaches that love is about winning or losing, finding a partnership built on mutual empowerment is not just rare, it's revolutionary.